floor is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a big day for us today because our director, Nick Manicus, who's worked for 32 years in the multicultural space of ACT government, has retired. So that's a big loss, really. He's very well connected, and we were all busy trying to get as much out of his brain before he departed this afternoon. So I thought I would talk. The letter I got said the council were interested in the Multicultural Centre. So I thought I'd talk about that, but I thought I might talk also more generally about the Office of Multicultural Affairs, because there's a number of things we do in that multicultural space. So we're located in London Circuit in the North Building, so people will know where Civic Square is in the Legislative Assembly on London Circuit, and we're just across from that. And on the second floor of the North Building is what's called the Theo Notaras Centre. So Theo Notaras was a Greek philanthropist who contributed significantly to the community, so the Multicultural Centre is named after him. So in the centre we have, as well as a small couple of staff from the Community Services Directorate, it's quite unique in that we share that space on the second floor with the migrant and refugee settlement services. So they get some funding from ACT government, but they get most of their funding from the Australian government, and they provide a range of services to migrants and refugees. So they've got everything from programs that assist people to get their driving licences, the volunteers that assist people to connect to Centrelink. They've got connections with employers. They have a great program for high school students where they use volunteer tutors to support those migrants and refugees. So they're in that centre. The ACT Multicultural Youth Services are also there, so there's effectively a youth centre where young people come. And then we've got a range of, I suppose, smaller offices, so everything from the Ethnic Schools Association to the Chinese Australian Association. So a number of those are sort of part-time offices where different groups gather. We have some rooms, we've got a large function room that people can book for community functions, and I thought it would be useful. This is also on the website, but these are booking charges. So there's a range of sort of community not-for-profit rates, as well as government rates. And there's a small meeting room there as well. So I thought the other thing people might be interested in was just to get a bit of a sense of the multicultural makeup of the ACT. And there's some quite good figures on the ACT Health website. But for example, the most common birthplaces in the ACT are what some people might expect, from 1 to 5, England, China, India, New Zealand and Vietnam. But in that order, yeah. And on the health website it actually has ranked down to 10. But then when you look at the fastest growing birthplaces, they're quite different to that group. So the fastest growing in this order are Saudi Arabia, Bhutan, Nepal, Nigeria and Iraq. So I mean that some of those people from those countries are who we will often see in the centre, particularly at the Migrant Resource Centre seeking service. The other interesting thing I think for us is languages. So the most common languages are Mandarin, Vietnamese, Cantonese, Italian and Spanish, after English of course. And then the fastest growing languages are Karen, which is Burmese effectively, Gujarat, Punjabi, and Mandarin. So again, you get this different list of, I suppose, migrants who've settled here and have been here for some time from particular countries, and then new arrivals coming from quite different countries. The other thing I thought I'd talk about more broadly is some of the things that the Office of Multicultural Affairs do. So one thing which I'm sure people are familiar with is the Multicultural Festival. And as recent as today, I've been in meetings with emergency services and action buses about the Multicultural Festival. So next year it's happening from the 17th to the 19th of February. Next year will be the 21st year of the festival. So it started as a, well, it wasn't insubstantial, but it started as a festival that was a small number of those multicultural community groups and embassies coming together to put on some food. Next year we will have 450 stalls, 9 stages. Earlier this year we had, over the 3 days, 280,000 people. So considering Canberra's, I suppose, close to 400,000, that's a fair whack. On Friday night, I was at the National Arboretum, and the Multicultural Festival received a tourism award. It was voted the most popular event by members of the public. So it's something that I think Canberrans really love and embrace. And it's really, I suppose, unlike some other festivals, Florio is a key example, it's really run on a shoestring, and it's really dependent on the community and some of those multicultural services coming together to do it. And in the next fortnight, we'll be announcing the headline act and a number of acts across those 9 stages. So a number of embassies are still quite involved. We met this morning with the American embassy, so they're very keen to participate and contribute.
Well, can I say something, or should I wait to the end?
I'm happy.
Okay, I'm in the committee of the Harmony Journal Club.
Oh yes.
He was one of the originators of the horticulture way back. We are finding increasingly bureaucratic process in getting it going. And last year we had all the beer cellars, so to speak, all in one area. And like foods all in one area, which I think overall wasn't as good for everyone, the patrons and the clubs.
Yes.
Mediate spread back like it used to be.
Yes.
Maybe last year was a trial.
Yeah. So I think one of the challenges, and in fact some of the discussion this morning with emergency services was about, they're concerned about, it has continued to grow,
Yes.
but the footprint hasn't necessarily grown like it should.
It could end up outdoing itself.
Yes.
So people leave.
We,
especially people like who don't like the Harmony Club like you want.
No.
no, that's right. So we're, actually from this morning's meeting, we're talking about how we can really thin it out, particularly in that area from Karina Place to the Carousel, and the Carousel to the Canberra Times Fountain. That is very packed, and one of the suggestions coming from the police particularly was that maybe rather than have stalls on 2 sides, you just have one line, and it gives people more space to move along. We also need to think about, and we've just put in applications, action buses don't want us to use the interchange anymore, so we have to find some more space. So we are negotiating with the Canberra Centre around Bundy Street, which I think would be quite good.
Well, there are other issues. We have to take kegs down through the crowds, And that's in many ways a health hazard, or an occupational hazard taking people through.
Productivity hazard.
But for some reason, some people got to take their cool rooms into the room and place area last year. They're 2 little refrigerated containers,
Yes,
which
you
we
know,
would just love.
smoke.
So I'm trying to be positive here. Some people got to get it and some didn't, but kegs in the crowds is not good. Look, it's got to continue. It's great, and I'm trying to make suggestions.
So I'm happy if you want to speak to me directly, we can have some conversations, because I suppose we're keen to just make it work for everyone, and we know that every year there's some issues.
Oh, of course, and the reason why it's crowded at the front near the stage is that's where the people are going to be for 3 days, and there's some people only there for the Saturday
That's right.
or the Sunday, so they're further out. So that's how it's, and I think that's a great idea. But anyway, sorry, we'll let it continue.
Perhaps you could pick a location that would suit you in terms. Do you have a van or not? Does Harmony come?
No, we'd hire one, and you just get a 2 little refrigerated container.
Okay.
But anyway,
It's like you said,
The other issue that's of course been raised this year, in the light of terrorist attacks like the attack in Nice, we're talking closely with the police and emergency services about how we can secure it. So there'll be, I suppose, more restrictions on cars that come in and more checks around that sort of stuff. So we have to respond to that.
yes.
So we let Paul move on and finish what he's saying, please, Jeff. And then
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So the other thing, so the festival's one thing. The other thing is citizenship ceremonies. So our office has a responsibility, which has been delegated from the Department of Immigration and Border Protection in the ACT, to conduct citizenship ceremonies. So in most cases, the Minister for Multicultural Affairs officiates at that, but sometimes it might be a local member, like a federal member, or another member of the Legislative Assembly. And they happen about they're in lots of about 100 for over probably 8 to 10 months of the year, and we do morning and afternoon, either at the Albert Hall or at the Multicultural Centre. So that's quite a lot of organising on a monthly basis for those ceremonies. We have a service which a lot of new arrivals quite like, which is around overseas qualification and assessment. So this is really to assist people to make sure that their qualifications can be interpreted, and they can then use that as they apply for positions. So it's interesting that some of the larger states charge for that service. We continue not to, but the details of how people can apply on our website, and essentially people make an application and then come and have a meeting with one of our staff, and they go through it and then we process it that way. We hold multicultural awards once a year that happen in December, and that's always very interesting to see where people across the community, be they in the community sector, in the multicultural sector itself, in schools, in higher education, in business, are really helping new arrivals, and in some cases are being awarded for really interesting and innovative new programs. We also have a small grants program where people can apply for money for a range of things. So some young people might apply for the money to do a small course, to attend a conference. Other people might apply for a small grant to start a small business, to buy a laptop to assist them in some way in their education. So those grant programs roll out every year, and people can access those through the website too. We have an e-newsletter which goes out every Friday afternoon, and so we're happy to put, I don't know if there's a council address or something on that, but that started specifically around the Office for Multicultural Affairs, but we now put other things on it. So that will list, open days at embassies, festivals for particular communities, talk about grants programs, but every week there's pages of stuff happening. Playgroups for particular cultural groups, so there's playgroups across Canberra for South Sudanese, for Muslim women and their children, etc. So it lists all those activities. And a really important program that we run is called WESP, the Work Experience and Support Program. So this is a program where we have 2 intakes a year. I think it's 12 people at each. And it gives people an experience over 8 weeks across the ACT government. So we try and match what experience those refugees or migrants have come with. We can't always do that, but I can remember when I worked in another part of government, we had a WESP student, a young woman who came from Iran, who had a master's in computing, and we gave her an 8-week placement, and then eventually she actually gained a job in the department as a result of that. So it's a way that new arrivals can get into the workforce. And some of these people have really substantial experience and qualification, and they just need to get that first exposure. So that's a great program. That might be enough.
But enough? So John?
Yeah, I have a question to you. What's the net? Do you run the Multicultural Centre, the Multicultural Festival as a profit centre?
So the Multicultural Festival never makes a profit. We get the amount, as I understand it, for the Manicus that we get for that is just under $500,000 from the government, and that hasn't changed in 12 years. And then we seek corporate sponsors. So Icon Water is a sponsor, IGA are a sponsor, and then there's a small amount of money that's charged for the stalls.
Small amount of money. Not speak to the storeholder. I know the storeholder.
Yeah.
One of the features that seems to be in these sort of things, if you're trying to go to the fair, you've got to budget a bloody large amount of money. And it's expensive. It's really expensive if you've got too many kids. And the storeholders are often forking out thousands of dollars to be there for that period. And quite frankly, for that level of cost to be applied for a crappy little bloody bit of concrete. And all they have to apply, most of them, I mean, if you get a tent, I suppose you get something, but the ones who bring their own bed, they still seem to pay thousands of dollars, and this they have to repeat it somehow. And I just think it's still very expensive. Simple as that.
So that's a comment, not a question. Question?
Yeah. I was just wondering how the Saturday versus Sunday setup is. It's been a few years since I've done it because I recall Saturday being incredibly crowded and Sunday being pretty empty. Has there been anything else to sort of balance that?
Saturday afternoon is good, obviously. But I think Sunday recently is easy too. So again, there was a few years back, I don't know if people remember, it actually went 5 days, and I think there was one time where it went over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The government's told us to pull it back to 3 days. In terms of cost, I don't know. We get overwhelmed, and it's growing every year. We're not reviewing costs, but we're having to go to all the meetings and governments and say, we've got a budget in.
Spending money on.
So power, water,
Marquee, hire,
marquees for
cleaners,
functions,
guards,
security,
yeah.
waste.
Setting up.
There's a range of contracts we have to put out.
So is Sunday now becoming more even like the Saturday?
It is.
Paul, one of the things that I'm particularly interested in when I suggested that we invite yourself from the thing at Notaras, and you've covered much more than that, which is terrific, is there any way a community association like ours, like a residents association, can assist the work? One of the things that immediately comes to mind is that you've got a great website, so when our new website comes up, perhaps we can link to yours. That seems to be very apparent. But is there, you know, we're often very interested in development applications and issues of a municipal nature. But can you see if there's anything that we can assist you with?
So this is Northside Community
This is the
Service
North.
we're in. I mean, I
Yes.
think one of the pressures at Theo Notaras is there's not enough, like the rooms book, long way out.
Right.
So it's being used very well. I've certainly talked to a lot of the community groups about, I've come from a space where we have other community services in terms of facilities, the Child and Family Centres at Kungal and Tuggeranong and West Belconnen.
Right.
Those are great community facilities that are underutilised on the weekend. So where there's community facilities that some of these groups could use, that would be fantastic. I was at a Tamil event on Saturday night at Queanbeyan. They run language schools. They use facilities in the community they have to pay for on the weekends. So I think that there's pressure on there's pressure on that facility, and it's also not the right facility for a lot of people because you have to pay in civic. And so if there are facilities in the suburbs, I think we should
Pay in terms of,
well, you have to pay in terms of parking.
yeah, well, I'm a supporter of paid parking, I ride there every time. But I'm on the verge of not going anymore, it's just too expensive.
Yeah.
So, any other questions? Anybody? Mike?
Sorry, I found it interesting when we was talking about, like, you know, the links, because I was thinking, is there a way of being able to provide information about us? You know, and also residence groups to, you know, new migrants who come, you know, as part of the total package of here's what's around in Canberra, because that is one way to connect in with other people in their neighbourhoods.
So it would be good, I mean, it might be good to talk to Dilwani, who's the Chief Executive Officer at Mars, the Migrant Resource Centre. So they do a lot of introductory sessions for new residents, and they want to provide as much information to people about you know, what's in their community and where they can access services, etc.
I mean, I'm a migrant, obviously. I didn't know about it until much later. I mean, of course, that was just me not realizing, but if there's, you know, if there's that thing when you're new somewhere, you don't know what you don't know, and you're just kind of funneling around. So, yeah, information is great.
And Mars have, as I say, they've got a range of programs where they really use volunteers. So again, that might be the other thing to think about. So they've got a partnership with CIT around language for new arrivals, and that language is language courses to live in different ways, flexible online, one-to-one with a trained teacher. But there's also volunteers who they can match you up with so that you can have some conversation and you can, you know, that's flexible in terms of where you meet, etc. So there's good use of volunteers in these spaces if people have time and propensity for that. That's
How do you get on with translations and translators? You have
There's an issue with translation services. The Australian government cut a lot of translation services. So the ACT government pays for it, where people are accessing ACT government or ACT community funded services. We will tend to pay for it, but it's expensive, and there's been these cuts in recent years.
What's your biggest issue? Apart from money, obviously.
Shouldn't go
Are you handling the numbers that come?
Yes, and I think, you know, we've been really, and Nick Marcus has really pushed for the Syrian refugees. That's been very slow. It has started in the ACT. I think a big issue is accommodation for new arrivals. So ACT Housing are part of the Community Service Directorate, and they do what they can, but of course there's pressure on public housing generally. There has been some work done with private landlords. So again, Mars has a program that where people can, if they own property, go through Mars and they can, in a sense, determine to have their property leased to a new arrival. So there's a range of things that we're trying to do with the private sector as well.
Just one more question with multicultural centre. Are you thinking of moving it from civic or?
No. A lot of the communities really like civic. I think what we would like is another facility. Again, it's interesting that the Tamils, they hire that premium bicentennial hall because it has an ability for them to cook. So a lot of these cultural groups, they want to cook their own food. They don't want to have it bought in and catered.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of school halls won't have that. So I mean, the ideal would be a purpose-built facility for multicultural groups. Again, for Notaras, there is a commercial kitchen, but the space is probably, you could fit 200 each, but it's not. I mean, the Tamil event on Saturday was 800.
It could be used for the multicultural person, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Like a full.
Yeah.
My comment is that if it is ever moved, it needs to be a sort of civic way or kind of near the bus interchange, so that people have a distinct public transport option. Because we route like that, you can't be 500 to go. It's too much. From that kind of thing.
Well, that was the other stat I had for you. Gungahlin has the highest proportion of overseas born residents, 29%, and Tuggeranong has the lowest with 19%.
It's the way I see it, it's not catering to migrants specifically, it's a cultural interaction, so we don't want to sort of, if you want to put it out with the migrants, well then that's what you get, I guess. I would imagine if you put it on Gungahlin, you'll find a lot of other.
How about Northbourne Oval?
Plenty of parking there.
Well, we're happy that people talk to government about
Okay, would everybody like to thank Paul